Welcome to Prize Day with a Difference, a virtual Prize Day with a short review of 2019 to 20 from me, some photos of our prize winners, and some closing remarks from our guest of honour, Mr. Colin Crooks, former RSD pupil and currently the UK Ambassador to North Korea. We hope you enjoy it very much. Colin was at RSD in the years 1980 to 87. He then went on to Fitzwilliam College, Cambridge, where he read modern and medieval languages. And I think he would say that his biggest interests in school during his time at RSD was on the stage, in some of our plays, with our magazine, and probably most important of all to him, with the quiz teams, which he captained to both Northern Ireland and UK titles. Colin has a long connection with Korea. His first posting was to South Korea in the late 1990s, and of course he's now ambassador to North Korea. And you can follow him on Twitter to see some behind-the-scenes images of this most secretive of countries. We're delighted to have Colin with us, albeit virtually, for this Prize Day, and we hope to see him in school in the near future. Thank you, Colin. When we started the academic year in 2019, we had no idea that it would be the most momentous year of recent times, with the COVID-19 pandemic leading to lockdown, the closure of schools, the cancellation of all public exams. The subsequent grading fiasco which then followed, of course, was incredibly difficult for everyone. But at RSD, we had set out with a clear objective. At RSD, we aim to provide the best grades possible for our pupils, whilst respecting the integrity of the grading process. And that's really exactly what we did. And I want to thank our teachers, and in particular Mr. Klingon, for the quality of the work done during this really complex and demanding time. The grades awarded to RSD pupils were earned by the pupils. It was their hard work and ability, their commitment to their studies, which provided the groundwork for the teachers to award the grades. So all of you who have received those grades this summer, you should be really proud of the work that you did and know that those grades are yours, they're merited, and they're every bit as valid as other grades awarded in other years. We're very, very proud of you, and you should be proud of your achievements. Now, normally I would perhaps mention quite a number of folk who have received those grades. In the interest of brevity, I won't go through all of those names this time. You will be able to see them on the website, you'll see them in the Prize Day booklet, you'll read about them in the magazine when my full report is there. But I do want to mention for our Year 14s, Anson Chan and Ryan Lee, our laureates who both were awarded 4A star grades, and Bevan Elliott Murphy and Cherith Robinson, who each were awarded 3 A-star grades. And that really is typical, I think, of the kind of hard work and dedication that our pupils show. Congratulations to you, congratulations to all of our A-level and AS pupils for all of your achievements. Similarly, at GCSE, we had lots of pupils achieve very high outcomes. Again, you'll be able to read about them in the booklet or in the magazine full report. But here too, I'd just like to take a moment to congratulate in particular Catherine McCammon, who was awarded 10 A-star grades, and Chloe McCahey, who was awarded 9 A-star grades and 1 A grade. And again, very representative of the hard work, the commitment shown by our pupils. Congratulations to all of you who received your GCSE results this summer. Congratulations on all of your achievements. Planning for the reopening of school in late August was really a huge undertaking. As always, our governors were supportive, backed all of our efforts to provide additional protection and mitigation against the spread of COVID-19. Lots of things evident around school, perhaps the most obvious, the shelters outside the assembly hall to help with queuing for lunchtimes, but also things like hand gel units, protective screens across desks, protective equipment for staff use, cleaning kits in our classroom and so on, and of course other arrangements such as split break and lunchtime to aid movement and control all of the social distancing issues around the canteen. My thanks really go to Mr. Klingon and the bursar, Mr. Wheeler, the various non-teaching staff, particularly our groundsmen, caretaker and cleaners, who undertook much of this work during the summer to enable us to get ready for opening in late August. Thank you. At the end of last term, we said farewell to Mrs. Mabel Clingan, who retired from teaching after 37 years, 3 in the high school for girls, 34 with us in RSD as head of art. Mrs. Clingan has been an outstanding teacher, subject enthusiast, champion of young people, and it was no surprise to see RSD social media full of tributes and thanks from former pupils, some of you now RSD parents, recalling with fondness your time in Mrs. Clingan's art lessons. We welcome this year 2 new members of staff, Miss Megan Kerr, a former RSD pupil herself, who is going to work in the art department alongside Mrs. Best, who is acting head of art, and Dr. Ursula Anderson, who's covering for Mrs. Glenn during her career break in teaching biology and science. We wish both of our new colleagues every success, every happiness in their time at RSD. From September 2019 to March 2020, we had a normal school year in many ways, and it's important to remember all the good things which were happening in school at that time, as well as reflecting upon the changes which took place thereafter. The first thing worth noting is that we could travel, with our history trip to Berlin, Spanish trip to Salamanca, and English trip to London, all great successes. By March, however, it was obvious that the ski trip to Norway would not be possible, and the new reality began to bite. And likewise, our Dilworth tutors, Anthony, Isaac and Paolo, returned to New Zealand all too soon, and our boarders returned home to family. The early part of the year also allowed pupils to travel locally to various events, university open days, art exhibitions, young enterprise activities, the geography field trip, Team R&D Physics and Engineering Challenge, the SU Weekend, safer school activities and so on. Lots and lots going on as always. And our shared education work expanded. We had new events for years 9 and 10, including some residential stays over the weekend and a biodiversity project to improve the school campus environment. And we had some of our senior pupils building a plane, yeah, literally building an aeroplane, and all of these things were well underway. Now, some of those things we were able to get going again this year, but not everything, and not perhaps in the normal fashion. So we're hoping, of course, that we can be creative, try to maintain some of these things, get some of these things going again, because we know they're the spark of school life, and we'll be trying our best to make sure our extracurricular programme and all of our activities continue in this new academic year. The sporting calendar was cut short, of course, by coronavirus, but not before some of our teams managed to lift a trophy or two. I'm particularly pleased to see our under-13 girls table tennis team retain their Ulster Schools title. And our first 15, although having some mixed results and some real disappointments and setbacks in the season, particularly in the cruel way in which they went out of the Schools Cup qualifying system, they did go on into the Schools Trophy, play some great rugby and deservedly lift the Schools Trophy in a very, very impressive performance in the final against Larne Grammar School. They really were worthy winners on the day. The first 15, as I say, had to overcome quite a number of disappointments to get to that point, and for that spirit and commitment, they also ended up with the Headmaster's Team of the Year award. Rugby in general remains so incredibly popular in school. Our junior and medallion squads continue to develop, and we've got lots of rugby going on for girls as well, and a great platform through the club link there as well. And congratulations to some of our girls such as Lucy Turkington and Sarah Shrestha, who have been involved with Irish women's rugby at representative level. At the heart of this development is player commitment and coaches' expertise. And we're truly fortunate to have such a dedicated and knowledgeable group of coaches within our teaching staff. Thank you to you. Our hockey squads were full of activity throughout the season, often fielding A and B teams. We had our third 11 out at senior level. Perhaps our star performers in the season were our under-14s, who reached the quarter-final of the Ulster Junior Schools Cup and went on to win the Mid-Ulster League. Our first 11 went on then to the quarter-final of the Ulster Hockey Schools Plate competition. They lost out to a last-minute goal from Down High School, but it was great to see so many girls involved in hockey at practice, midweek fixtures, weekend fixtures, literally dozens and dozens of girls enjoying their hockey each week. And here too, it's our coaches' expertise, their commitment, which is really the bedrock for player development and team success. So thank you again to all of our coaches. The range of sports in RSD in recent years has grown enormously, and this year we were able to have a senior boys football team for the first time in the Northern Ireland Schools Cup, and they went on to reach the quarterfinals. Great achievement, well done boys. Our cross-country runners got to run in the E-District and Ulster qualifiers. Congratulations to Lucy Davidson, finishing a superb 13th in the mini girls. And we were able to get swimming going and lots of other activities as well. But of course, the season was often cut short. So we didn't really have athletics, sports day was knocked out, cricket season completely gone, lots of things affected. We have the beginnings of a return to normal for sporting activity, but it's only the beginnings, and we hope to see some hockey and rugby fixtures emerge later in the term. But it's not the usual jump into action, lots of practices, lots of midweek and Saturday games that we would normally expect. So we're going to have to be patient, we're going to have to work our way back to our normal scenario. In the meantime, we can all support the RSD staff, the external coaches who continue to do so much for our pupils in so many sporting arenas. Thank you to all of you. Let's continue to support them. The autumn term also brought us some culture with our school play, Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. It was really a feast for the eyes, a huge credit to the production team with the set, the lighting, the sound, the special effects, and particularly when combined with the work of the makeup, hair and costume departments, I think we really had one of our most eye-catching spectacles ever on stage. The title role was played beautifully by Sienna Fenton. She was on stage for almost every minute of the production, ably supported by the large ensemble cast. Congratulations to everyone involved. Congratulations to the entire company. The musical calendar usually culminates in the highlight of the spring concert, but of course we didn't get that far in 2020, so we had to be content with the senior choir performing at Prize Day last September, the feel-good performances of the Christmas concert, and the serenity, the majesty really, of the carol service. Our senior, chamber and junior choirs, the Royal Strings, the RSD Band, they're all continuing to entertain and to provide musical excellence. And along with our solo and ensemble performers, we really are truly blessed as a school to enjoy so much music, not just at public performances, but throughout each week. And here too, we can't wait to get everyone back playing and singing together, and hopefully performing for you. So instead of the spring concert at the end of March, we had, of course, school closure and lockdown. And this meant moving overnight to an online learning platform, which staff threw themselves into. And pupils responded really well to this new challenge. And although it wasn't school in the normal sense, it did allow for some continuity in learning and for many pupils to continue to receive pastoral support. It was strange being separated from one another for so long, but the staff did find ways to bring about a bit of fun, togetherness. Their Friends charity song, for example, raising over £4,000 for our local hospital. Other ventures included sports challenges and a music talent contest, and RSD provided lots of goggles and gloves to hospitals and care homes, while Mr. Willis and Mr. Johnson manufactured hundreds of visors down in DT. Although it wasn't an ideal scenario for any of us, it was good to be able to keep some semblance of school life going and to show the RSD spirit was alive and well. So it's been a year like no other. We have come through it and we do continue to flourish as a school. And a large part of that is down to our sense of togetherness as a community, with governors, staff, pupils, parents, former pupils and friends at the school all pulling in the same direction. Whatever the future brings in terms of COVID-19, it will be this sense of togetherness which helps us to continue the great story of the Royal School Dungannon. Thank you.
Hello Dungannon. It's a tremendous honour for me to be asked to speak to you today at your annual prize giving. I'm sorry that I'm not able to join you in person in Dungannon, but of course it's been an extraordinary year and we've all had to make a lot of adjustments. I'm also sorry that I can't tell you I'm speaking to you from North Korea, which is where I have been ambassador for the last year and a half. But to cut a long story short, when the virus started spreading in China in January, the North Korean regime decided very early on that they would close the borders. We stayed in North Korea for several months, but over time we weren't able to bring in any supplies or new people. Things were becoming harder, and the Foreign Secretary decided that enough was enough, that he would bring me and my staff home, and that we would close the embassy temporarily. We had quite an eventful journey back. It involved driving for 150 miles on dirt roads to the Chinese border and then flying back to London. But London is now where I will be remaining for the coming months while we wait for the borders to reopen and for us to re-establish the embassy. It's hard to believe that it's now 40 years since I first set foot in RSD as a first former. My journey since then has taken me to many different places, but actually I think my two main claims to fame are still connected to RSD. My first claim to fame is that I was at school with Darren Clark. Darren was another 11-year-old entering Form 1R back in September of 1980. And when I look at the programme for today's event and read the words of the school song, I'm reminded of my second claim to fame. And that is that I'm pretty sure I was the last person to learn the Holy Latin in Dungannon. That was when I was doing A-level Latin in a class of 1 with Mr. Kirkwood in 1987. I've had a long and interesting journey so far. It's taken me on diplomatic postings to South Korea, Indonesia, the United States, China, and North Korea. But it's a journey that began at RSD, and I'm grateful to my teachers, including Mr. Ray, Mr. Nolan, Mr. Brennan, who instilled in me a love of foreign languages, not just Latin, but also French and German, which I pursued later when I went to Cambridge and which then carried me into the Foreign Office. And in the Foreign Office I then discovered Asia and Asian languages, Indonesian, Mandarin, and above all, Korean. And just to give you one lowlight of my career as a Foreign Office linguist, when I was posted in Seoul in South Korea, the then Prime Minister John Major visited South Korea and he was making a big speech to a reception full of important Korean dignitaries, and as the embassy linguist I was invited to stand there beside the Prime Minister and interpret his speech into Korean. Quite a daunting task, but it was all going reasonably well until a point where I realised that I had perhaps overestimated my linguistic ability when the Prime Minister made a rather elaborate joke. And at a loss as to how to translate it, I said in Korean to the audience, "Ladies and gentlemen, the Prime Minister has just made a joke which I cannot translate, so when I finish speaking, please laugh." Fortunately, they did laugh, and I think I got away with it. My first message to you today is not just about learning languages, although if you have a chance to learn languages, you should certainly pursue it. My message is about pursuing the things that you're good at and making the most of your talents. You might have a talent for languages, or it might be maths, or science, or history, or sports, or music. RSD gives you a great education in all of these things. And if you pursue what you're good at, if you pursue your passions, you never know where you might end up. Perhaps your journey might take you to places that are more interesting than North Korea. My second message to you is try new things. School is a great place to try new things. And RSD has always been brilliant at giving you opportunities to do things outside the classroom. This is a lesson that I learned a little bit late in my RSD career. I was never particularly good at sports or music, It was only really in the sixth form that I discovered extracurricular activities that appealed to me. I took part in the quiz team and we went to a number of national tournaments in England with Mr. Edgar. I edited the school magazine under the supervision of Mr. Kelly, and I took part in school plays directed by Mrs. Hobson. None of us will ever forget taking part in Guys and Dolls, which was the first musical that the school put on following the amalgamation of the Boys' Royal School and the Girls' High School in 1986. And I'll always remember the last night when our music director, Mr. Batchelor, was involved in a car accident on his way in to school that night on icy roads. He took himself to the hospital, he got himself stitched up, and he went ahead and he directed the school orchestra that night, even with the blood still caking his dress shirt, an event that none of us will ever forget. But my point here is that extracurricular activities outside the classroom are some of the things that gave me my fondest memories of school, and these are things that have also given me confidence that I've put to use in my later career. My final message to you today is simply congratulations. Looking at the long list of prizes, the long list of impressive exam results of A-levels and GCSEs, I'm struck by how much you have achieved under the most trying of circumstances. Many of these prizes and cups have been around for years. Indeed, I think I might have won one or two of them a long time ago myself, but they've never been harder earned than in 2020. And congratulations also to your teachers and to your parents and families who have supported you through the very difficult circumstances of 2020. I hope that one day soon I'll be able to visit Dungannon and to meet some of you in person. But until then, stay safe and healthy, enjoy the year at RSD, and the very best of luck for your future journeys. Thank you.